Okay, so you remember the program idea with which we ended last time, and I told you that now we want to compute 1 into 2 factorial plus 2 into 3 factorial plus 3 into 4 factorial plus 4 into 5 factorial plus 5 into 6 factorial and so on. Now my program contains the previous program, so this I don't want to rewrite it, I just want to modify it. So see, you forget about the declaration of the variables, I will come back. I have just asked the user to enter n. I definitely need the n because this is n. The last term is n into n plus 1 factorial. So I have told the user to enter n, and I have scanned that n within this variable called n. I have scanned it. Now definitely you can understand my I is this one, 1, 2, then 3, then 4, then 5 and so on up to n. So my I will vary from what? From 1, then it will change to 2, then it will change to 3. So my I will definitely vary from 1 to n. I will vary from 1 to n. So that is what I am doing for I equal to 1, I less than equal to n, I plus plus. Let me get rid of this, let me not think of the sum at the moment. For I equal to 1, I less than equal to n, I plus plus. This is what I have done. So it means that I is varying from 1 to n, which is the exact thing I want. I want I to vary from this 1 to 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 up to n. So I is varying from 1 to n. Now within this, what do I need? Check out, firstly I need to do I plus 1 factorial. See, is not it so? When I is 1, this I is varying from 1 to n. So when I is 1, you want 2 factorial. When I is 2, you want 3 factorial. When I is 3, you want 4 factorial. When I is 4, we want 5 factorial. When I is 5, you want 6 factorial. So on when I is n, what do you want? You want n plus 1 factorial? Is not it so? So here you basically want, if you are entering with the value of I, you want I plus 1 factorial. So how do you calculate I plus 1 factorial? It is calculated by product equal to 1 into 2 into 3 into 4 into 5, so on up to how much? Up to, if I want I plus 1 factorial, I want up to I plus 1, because 5 factorial is 1 into 2 into 3 into 4 into 5. 4 factorial is 1 into 2 into 3 into 4. 6 factorial is 1 into 2 into 3 into 4 into 5 into 6 and so on. It is better to call this one not product but FACT, maybe fact. Looks better, which means here for j equal to 1, fact should be equal to 1. I start making fact equal to 1, and every time with fact, what should I multiply? Every time fact equal to fact into something I should make. If you remember, fact equal to fact into something, what do I need to multiply with fact? J, because j is 1 initially. Forget about this part, fact equal to 1, I will come back. J equal to 1, and j will vary up to how much? You want the factorial of I plus 1, so j should vary up to I plus 1. See, this is j, this 1, this 2, this 3, this 4, this 5, this is the variance of j. So j will vary from 1 to I plus 1, and every time j should be multiplied with fact. Check out, fact I want 1 into 2 into 3 into 4 up to I plus 1. So j can be 1, then 2, then 3, then 4, then 5 and so on up to j can be I plus 1, which means every time j must be multiplied with fact and j should vary from 1 to I plus 1. That is what I have done. I have started j with 1, I have varied it up to I plus 1 less than equal to I plus 1, and every time j has been multiplied to fact. So finally my fact contains what? I plus 1 factorial. If I is 1, fact contains 2 factorial. If I is 2, fact contains 3 factorial, because j is varying from 1 to I plus 1. So fact will contain I plus 1 factorial. So this I plus 1 factorial has to be multiplied with what? Remember, this I plus 1 factorial, has to be multiplied with I and added to sum. So that is what has been done. This fact, now I have called it fact. Fact has been multiplied with I and that has been added to sum. So sum equal to sum plus I into fact. Every time fact j is being multiplied to fact, fact is containing I plus 1 factorial. Finally, I plus 1 factorial is being multiplied to I. So sum equal to sum plus I into I plus 1 factorial. That is exactly what you want. And if you execute this program will run smoothly. Only thing is this word variable has to be changed by fact variable. I have called it fact. So I think you understand this. Should I repeat once more? I think I should. Say I equal to 1 to I less than equal to n, I am varying. I equal to 1 to I less than equal to n, I am varying. Because this is I. I is 1, then 2, then 3, then 4, then 5. So I is 1, 2, 3, 4 up to I is n. So I is being varied from 1 to n. Check out this. I is being varied from 1 to n. Every time what are you wanting to compute? Every time you are wanting to compute I plus 1 factorial. So you are varying j from 1 to I plus 1 and multiplying j. So 1, 2, 3, 4 up to I plus 1, everything will be multiplied with fact. So fact will definitely contain I plus 1 factorial. At the end, I plus 1 factorial will have to be multiplied with I into I plus 1 factorial, and then finally sum added to sum. So the sum will contain the final sum. Let me run this program, you will understand. Alt or enter, say 3. 3 is 1 into 2 factorial plus 2 into 3 factorial plus, if I say this, enter n 3, 1 is 3, enter n 3 means 3 terms. So definitely 1 into 2 factorial plus 2 into 3 factorial plus 3 into 4 factorial. What is 2 factorial? 2. So 1 into 2 factorial is 2. 2 into 3 factorial is 6 into 2, 12. So 1 plus this is 2 plus 12, 14. And finally 3 into 4 factorial. What is 4 factorial? 4 factorial is 24. So 3 into 4 factorial, 4 factorial is how much? 4 factorial is 1 into 2, 2 into 3, 6, 6 into 4, 24. So I think this is working fine. This is 72, 24 into 3, 72, 72 plus 14 is 86. So this program runs fine. You run with 4, you will find this 566. You can try out, because finally it is 4 into 5 factorial. 5 factorial is 120, 4 into 120 is 480, 480 added with 86 is 566. You can calculate, you can just take a piece of paper and quickly calculate and find out that this is working absolutely fine. But before ending, I would like to point out one very simple thing with you. See, when you are entering the outer for loop, this outer for loop, when you are entering maybe the third time, you are calculating 4 factorial. Now what is 4 factorial? If you have a check into this, 4 factorial is 4 into 3 factorial, is not it so? If you have a look at it, 4 factorial is 4 into 3 factorial. Similarly, next time when you are entering the loop the 4th time, you are calculating 5 factorial. But what is 5 factorial? 5 factorial is 5 into 4 factorial, is not it so? Now what I want to point out is, previous time in the loop you had already calculated 3 factorial. So why will you start calculating 4 factorial all over again from 1? You are again calculating 1 into 2 into 3 into 4 for 4 factorial. When you are calculating 5 factorial in the inner for loop, you are calculating 1 into 2 into 3 into 4 into 5. Next time when you are calculating 6 factorial in the inner for loop, you are again starting from j equal to 1, means you are calculating 1 into 2 into 3 into 4 into 5 into 6. But check out, 5 factorial is only 5 into 4 factorial. You had already computed the 4 factorial in the previous iteration of the loop. So why don't you keep it saved and just multiply 5 with it? That is, you just multiply the I plus 1 thing with the factorial which is already computed. What I mean to say is, when I start this loop, if I think that I is equal to 1 and sum is equal to 0, fine, very fine. Why don't I take another variable product equal to 1 here only, or maybe fact equal to 1 here only. And what I mean to say is, 1 means 1 factorial. I am deliberately keeping as if 1 factorial in fact. Fact is containing 1 factorial. I get rid of this part. Suppose fact is containing 1 factorial. So next time what do you need to multiply with fact to get 2 factorial? You just need to multiply how much with fact to get 2 factorial? Just the I plus 1, because I you are entering with 1. You please understand, try to understand what I am saying. I is entering with 1 first time. Fact is containing say 1 factorial. So when you are multiplying 1 factorial with I plus 1, that is 2, you are getting 2 factorial. So fact now is containing 2 factorial, and I don't change that value of fact. Next time when I come, I comes with a value of 2. So you are multiplying 2 plus 1, 3, with how much? With fact, which was, what was it containing? 2 factorial. So 2 factorial into 3, how much is it? 3 factorial. So fact now contains 3 factorial. Next time when you come back over here, what is the value of I? I's value is 3. I becomes 3. So it enters over here with I equal to 3. So what is I plus 1? I plus 1 is 4. So 4 is being multiplied with fact, means fact was containing 3 factorial. 4 into 3 factorial, what is that? 4 factorial. Next time when you come back, I becomes 4. So I plus 1 is 5. So what are you multiplying? 5 you are multiplying with fact. Fact was containing 4 factorial. So what does fact become? Fact becomes 5 factorial. So every time this fact can be done easily from the previous factorial. 4 factorial is being computed from 3 factorial just by multiplying 4 with it. You are already containing I factorial in fact. You are just multiplying I plus 1 with it to get I plus 1 factorial. So fact contains I plus 1 factorial, which you can multiply with I and add with sum. So this should execute your program exactly the same way without using the inner for loop. It is good to avoid the inner for loop. It is good to avoid the inner for loop. You know why? Because in the inner for loop you are executing the inner for loop again maybe n times. So every time the outer for loop is executing n times, in the inner for loop you are again executing n times for every time. That is, you are basically running this nested for loop n into n times. Because for every iteration of the outer for loop, you are making the inner for loop iterate n times. So for n iterations of the outer for loop, you are making n into n iterations with the inner for loop. So it becomes huge. So instead of doing that, why don't we do a very simple thing? We just use this concept and avoid iterating the loop so many times. I am already having, in my previous iteration of the loop, I already have 4 factorial with me. So why don't use just multiply 5 with 4 factorial to get 5 factorial and then add it with the sum to get it. This one will also run fine. You can check out. Say 3 factorial is 1 into 2 factorial plus 2 into 3 factorial plus 3 into 4 factorial is 86. You can run this one more times, maybe with 5, 4166. You can take a piece of paper and check out. This will run absolutely fine. I will end my session over here. We will come back with the next lesson next day. But prior to that, I will give you one small homework to do. I will tell you, why don't you try to find out by googling or something like that. You can do a bit of Google and find out what is the meaning of float. I will give you a hint, like int n, we can also write float n. What difference does it make? Int n means n is an integer. I have always been dealing with integer. What if I don't take int, but I take float and float n? What is the meaning of that? What is the difference between int and float? Like int is a data type n is an integer, it is a data type. Like that, float is another data type. Can you kindly check out what is float before we come back next time? Thank you so much. So that's it for the